He said, I brought you, my son, verse 17, who has a mute spirit. Wherever it seizes him, it throws him down. He foams at the mouth. He gnashes his teeth and become rigid. So I spoke to your disciples that they should cast it out, but they could not. He answered him and said, O faithless generation, how long shall I be with you? Because see, Jesus had been doing miracle after miracle after miracle after miracle after miracle. He said, how long shall I bear with you? Bring him to me. They brought him to him. And when he saw him, immediately, somebody shout immediately, the spirit convulsed him. And he fell on the ground and wallowed, foaming at the mouth. So he asked his father, how long has this been happening to him? How long has he been battling this? How long has he been suffering from this? Oh, and see, that's what God is doing this morning. He's coming inside of refuge, and he's looking to see how long certain folk been suffering with certain things. He's looking at how long have you been having to put up with that? How long has it been since you've been able to pay all your bills? How long has it been since you had peace in the midst of the storm? How long has it been since favor dropped on you from the crown to the soles of your feet? How long have you been battling? And so the man says to him, from childhood, he's been going through this teacher for a long time. For a long time. And you know what? There are some folks in here, when you look at your trouble, when you look at what you battling right now, this is not a new battle. This is not something that just showed up with the new year, but it's actually people that's suffering with things this morning that they've actually been battling since child. Lord, when am I going to get the victory over that? When am I going to overcome having to go through such and such, Lord? Jesus said, how long has this been happening to him? And he said from childhood. Now check out verse 22. He said, and often he has thrown him both into the fire and into the water in order to destroy him. Notice what this man let Jesus know. Lord, that what you saw today is not as bad as it is, Lord. Lord, he actually had a good episode compared to what we normally go through. Because normally when the Spirit gets a hold to him, Lord, he throws him into the fire. He throws him into the water in order to destroy him. There's some of you that's going through battle. You can't afford to play with that battle that you in, because that thing is actually trying to destroy you. That thing is actually trying to take you out. That thing is actually coming at some of us, and it's trying to cause you to take your own life, trying to cause you to leave a church that you know God ordained you to be in, trying to cause you to give up on the year of victory. But the devil is a liar, because I got a word from God. I know it's tough, but don't you give up. I know you've been battling, but don't you dare give in. I know demons have been whispering in your ear, but you better refuse to listen to the enemy, because the one that know how to deal with your enemy are showing up this morning. See, it's evident that some of you been battling too long, because you can't even get it excited about a word of deliverance. The enemy is so beating you up that you can't even get happy about God giving you the victory. Because when I tell you that God is going to give you the victory, the devil is saying it's not going to happen for you. You got excited the last time and did nothing happen, but you better put the devil up under your feet and let him know this is my year. Regardless of how I'm battling, things are going to change for me. Things are going to get better in my life, and then they're just going to keep getting better and better and better. And you can't ever afford to sit up and think that God ain't going to do what he said. I don't care how rough it is. That's not an excuse to doubt a God that's been as good to you as your God been. God has been better to me than anybody. Sit down, let me deal with this for a minute. See, he said, Lord, often. Let me tell you something. Look at verse 22. This ain't nothing to play with. He wants Jesus to do something. This thing throws him into the fire and into the water. Listen what it did. It said, to destroy him. This enemy is trying to take him out. But I don't believe it's your will that he get took out. God, I'm talking right up in here. The enemy is trying to take somebody out. But I got a word from God that... Look at John 10 and 10. Because remember this now. The enemy that is coming at him is trying to destroy him. Just like some of us. We got some enemies coming. And they're not playing with you right now. They are trying to destroy you. They're trying to ruin your testimony. Yeah, that good testimony you had about ain't nobody like Jesus. There is an enemy that's trying to ruin that testimony. You know that good testimony about you ain't going back to do what you used to do. But I got news for you. There's an enemy that has showed up and he's trying to ruin that testimony by destroying you. Because notice what John 10 and 10 say. Because see, the enemy that's fighting the boy has an agenda. And we all need to recognize that your enemies have an agenda. Some of us wonder why we can't get the marriage at a certain level. Because your enemy has an agenda. Some of you young folk wondering why you just can't back off of certain young folk and why you just can't leave certain things alone. Because your enemy has an agenda. Oh, I'm talking about a single person that's trying to remain holy, but you keep bumping into things that's making your mind. Oh, God, I wish somebody just go ahead and just shout, show you right, show you right. But there is an enemy that has an agenda to make you hook up with something that you ain't got no business hooking up with. You got to realize your enemy has an. He don't like that you in church serving God, that you giving God your all, that you talking faith, you're living right. But the enemy has an agenda. See, realize God has a purpose for your life. But at the same time, your enemy has an agenda. Oh, Lord. That's really when new folk enter your life. You have to really pray about who this is. Yeah, folks have come up with all kind of trash. They talking about me and you supposed to be close. Let me pray first. Let me seek God first. Some of you, God he's actually set you up in a place that you can be more blessed and more prosperous than you've ever been. But at the same time, while you in that blessed place, the enemy has an agenda. Boy, I wish I could tell you that was a place you could run and you could hide from the enemy, that he would not approach you. But I have not found such a place. Even when Joseph got down to Potiphar's house, when he got to a blessed place, he was glad he wasn't in the pit no more. Could you imagine him shouting about being out of the pit and into the palace? But yet even up in the palace, the enemy had an agenda. See, some of us, the enemy is not going to stop working his agenda until we give up, until we backslide, until we quit, because there are just too many of us up in here that's doing major damage to his kingdom. Because as long as you walk around, there's somebody that know they can be saved. That's the reason the enemy is upset with some of us. You proof that they can get off the alcohol. You proof that they can get off the dope. You proof that they can stop doing this, that, and that. If I'm talking about you, give him a praise right now. Are you a living witness? I said, are you a living witness? Are you a living witness? Are you a living testimony? See, I'm a testimony that God will bless you. I'm a testimony that God will give you your heart desire. I'm a testimony that God won't just let you window shop, but he'll give you what's inside the window. Notice John 10 and 10. So I got to preach about this morning, because there are folk in the church that's about to ruin the setup. God done set you up for favor. But if you ain't careful, you about to mess up the setup. I wish you see how folk looking at me. They looking like, Pastor, you ain't been with me. You wasn't there last night when I was somewhere I had no business being. But if some of us not careful, you can die in a place you had no business being. You have to recognize when God's hands are upon you and that the enemy has an agenda.